Hi everybody, welcome to this day in history. I think that some of y'all like to listen to the show because I screw up names and have fun talking about what happened this day in history. Now February 5th, only 329 days left until the end of the year, so welcome to it. Here we go. We're going to start out a little later than normal. We're going to start out in 1778, where South Carolina becomes the second state to ratify the Articles of Confederation. South Carolina also very famous for the fact that it is the first state that got us started with 10-25-50 homeless project. So there you go. Let's go to 1783 in Calabarra. A sequence of strong earthquakes begins. Now, let me give you guys a little idea of where exactly that is, according to our great friends at Wikipedia. As the page loads, and there you go. It's southern Italy. So there you go. Alright, in 1849, the University of Wisconsin-Madison's first class meets at the Madison Female Academy. In 1852, the new Hermitage Museum in St. Petersburg, Russia, one of the oldest and largest museums in the world, opens to the public. In 1869, the largest gold nugget in history, called the Welcome Stranger, is found in Victoria, Australia. In 1865, King Leopold II of Belgium establishes the Congo as his personal possession. 1905, Mexico. The General Hospital of Mexico is inaugurated, started with 4 basic specialities. Alright, in 1917, the current Constitution of Mexico is adopted, establishing the Federal Republic with powers separated into independent executive, legislative, and judicial branches. 1917, the Congress of the United States passes the Immigration Act of 1917 over the veto of President Woodrow Wilson. And Stephen W. Thompson shoots down a German plane. This is the first aerial victory by the U.S. military in 1918. In 1919, Charlie Chaplin, Mary Pickford, Douglas Fairbanks, and D.W. Griffith launch United Artists. In 1924, the Royal Greenwich Observatory begins broadcasting the hourly time signals known as the Greenwich Time Signal. In 1939, Francisco Franco becomes the 68th leader of Spain. 1941, Allied forces begin the Battle of Keren in Keren, Istria. 1945, Douglas MacArthur, who's the general at the time, returns to Manila. 1958, the hydrogen bomb, known as the Tybee Bomb, is lost by the Air Force off the coast of Savannah, Georgia, never to be recovered. I heard about this the other day, in fact, and it was just kind of a weird deal. 1962, French President Charles de Gaulle calls for Algeria to be granted its independence. In 1963, the European Court of Justice's ruling. They rule that it establishes the principle of direct effect, one of the most important, if not important, decisions in the development of European Union law. 1971, astronauts land on the moon in the Apollo 14 mission. 1975, riots break in Lima, Peru after the police forces go on strike the day before. The uprising is bloodily oppressed by the military dictatorship. 1988, Manuel Noriega is convicted on drug smuggling and money laundering charges. 1994, Byron de la Beckwith is convicted of the 1963 murder of civil rights leader Medgar Evers. In 1997, the so-called three banks in Switzerland announced the creation of a $71 million fund to aid Holocaust survivors and their families. And in 2008, a major tornado outbreak across the southern United States kills 57. So we have just a few births going on as well. James Otis Jr., born in 1725. Robert Peel, born in 1788. As we go further down the list, we find Elizabeth Ryan, born in 1892. Daisy and Violet Hilton are conjoined twins, and they were born in 1908. Red Buttons, born in 1919. And as we go further down the list, we will find that the oldest person still living with us here today is Hal Blaine, born in 1929. So happy birthday to Hal. Don Cherry, very famous for the term cherry picking. He was an ice hockey player, coach, and sports broadcaster. So Don Cherry, happy birthday to you. Hank Aaron, also born on the same day, same year. So two really huge guys when it comes to sports. Awesome. Alright, so we also see Darrell Waltrip, born this day in history. Mike Heath, baseball player. Jennifer Jason Leigh, born this day in history. Chris Parnell, Bobby Brown. Love myself some Bobby Brown. He is great. Sarah Evans, born this day in history as well. Kevin Everett, also born this day in history. Billy Sharp. And as we go further down, we see that 2 years ago, a prince was born, Wang Chuk, born, and he is from the Middle Eastern country of Oman. Of course, I think I said that wrong, but we'll go with it anyway. And deaths happened this day in history. Charles the 13th of Sweden died this day in history. And we'll look a little more into time here. You see that Tim Kelly, a great guitarist, died this day in history, 1998. Thelma Ritter, a very famous actress, died this day in history. And that is it. So, folks, it is Kashmir Solidarity Day. It is Liberation Day in San Marino. Crown Princess Mary's Day in Denmark. And Constitution Day in Mexico. You guys have a great day. We'll catch you here real soon on the ScottShow.com.